Oh, hello, can we please talk about what happened at UFC 279? My God, what a clusterfuck of an event that was. I mean, I've never seen that before. That was unprecedented. Just the whole main card switched around. I even had to do a second picks video. That was a bunch of bullshit. God damn it, that was exhausting. Like, I had to change all my bets, all my accumulators got thrown off. It was a mess. And all because Hamzat and fucking Holland couldn't keep it in their pants for fucking more than 5 minutes. God damn it. Anyway, I'm going to be having a quick recap of UFC 279 and, having a look at what's next for the winners and the losers and all that jazz. I'm having a quick look at what's happening in MMA news. Well, not much in MMA news, combat sports news. Spoiler alert, Jake Paul's finally fighting someone who I think might give him some issues. But yeah, that's all going to be on the Burt Locker episode 133. Right, so UFC 279 recap. I had Ion Cutelaba to beat Johnny Walker because I thought Johnny Walker was fucking done. Like, but he had looked shit lately though. In my defence, he'd looked really like bang average, and his fundamentals are still bang average. However, we saw his grappling. His grappling looked extremely good. He spotted that kind of weakness of Ion Cutelaba, who's like, that was exposed by Ryan Spann, I think, as well. I believe he lost by submission to Spann as well. But either way, congratulations, Johnny Walker, on beating somebody who, with respect, you should be beating with ease anyway. I look forward to seeing you fight somebody good and seeing if you can finally live up to all that fucking potential that we had for you. At one point, people were talking about you beating John Jones. And now that is just quite frankly ridiculous, isn't it? Come on. I mean, maybe one day. You've got the attributes. You've got the flair. Just put those fundamentals together. Keep that winning streak going. Honestly, I sound like I'm a Johnny Walker hater. I want nothing more than to see Johnny Walker wreck the light heavyweight division. I think it would be entertaining as shit. He just went off the boil for a bit there, didn't he? Went off the boil. Anyway, then you had Jiang Liang versus Rodriguez in a fight that was very close. Very close. Very competitive. You can make a case for either man, i.e., not a robbery. Li Jiangliang against Rodriguez was not a robbery. It was a close fight. Anytime anybody has a close fight, people go, oh, that's a robbery. Look, Li Jiangliang's a fucking hero, right? He saved that fucking event. He had to give up his co-main event spot against a legend who he would have likely beaten, by the way. Tony Ferguson is a very beatable big name. It's a real nice feather in the cap. Very beatable though. And Li Jiangliang, bless him, he lost that opportunity, gave it up so he could fight somebody who weighed in 10 pounds heavier than he did, more or less a weight class up, and also is a tricky opponent. Rodriguez is a tricky motherfucker. He is. He's got a great jab, great cross, he's got very good boxing fundamentals, and he throws him down the pipe really well. And that's why Rodriguez won that fight. If you watch that fight back, right, Rodriguez jabbed and crossed his face off, and he was going forward the entire time. Li Jiangliang, he landed more powerful shots, sure, but he didn't land as many, and also he was moving backwards the entire time, and that's why the judges gave it to Rodriguez. I understand, look, you could make a case for Lee winning that fight because people are saying, quite rightly so, that the forward pressure, octagon control isn't a primary scoring criteria anymore. But if it's a dead heat in the striking, then you have to take it into consideration. And that's what the judges did. That was a perfectly reasonable judge's decision. Not a robbery in any stretch of the imagination. So just enough. Enough with that. Move on. Get both of these two guys another fight in the next couple of months before the end of the year, hopefully, because they both deserve it. I'm a huge fan of both guys. I want to see them back in there. But stop crying robbery, because it really wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Examine what a robbery is. A one-sided fight that the judges give to the guy that clearly lost. This was a close fight. Razor close. Not a robbery. Enough. Hamzat Chimaev. Missed weight by a country mile. The whole card had to fucking move around Mr. Khamzat Chimaev, and then he has the audacity to go in there, and when Kevin Holland put his hand up to touch gloves and Khamzat shot in and double-legged him, I've got to tell you, I've got a lot of respect for that shit. Look, they'd already touched gloves once, and look, I don't know if Khamzat did that shit intentionally. I almost hope that he did. I'm hoping that he's leaning into the whole heel persona thing. Because it was funny. Like, you got to admit, like, you know, when Holland put his hand up for the high five and Khamzat just chucked him on the floor, that's pretty funny, isn't it? Come on, guys. It's like, look, I know that Holland probably doesn't find it that funny because he got fucking manhandled. But who's to say that wasn't going to happen anyway? Look at what Brunson did to Holland. Look at what Vettori did to Holland. That was obviously going to happen. Khamzat Chimaev by WrestleFuck. And look, he got the submission in the first round. Fair play to him. I was wondering, actually. Number one, I got it completely wrong. I thought that was a 3-round fight. And so that affected my betting slightly. But Chimaev, is there a possible chink in his armour here? Because, right, we saw him very, very desperately trying to get that finish in round number 1. He was breathing pretty heavily, like, before he got that shot. Like, you know, like, Holland only had to last another 30 seconds or so. That's what she said. And, yeah, and it would have been interesting to see if that had gone to a second round, if we'd have seen the same thing as what happened with Gilbert Burns. Because is Kevin Holland a top 10 fighter? I don't think he is he? Like, I don't think he's in the top 10 in the middleweight division. He's certainly not in the top 5. But we've only seen Khamzat Chimaev against one guy who's legitimately, like, in the top 5 of any division. That man is Gilbert Burns. And he took him to all 3 rounds. And you saw Chimaev's demeanour change pretty drastically. After round 1, when they went into round 2, the demeanour was very different. And I was intrigued to see if Holland had lasted out to the second round, if Khamzat's demeanour had changed this time. Not so, like, obviously it's reaching. Chimaev's an absolute beast, so what am I talking about? But, yeah, either way, gutted for Holland, but, you know, Chimaev scores another, you know, impressive victory. Interesting to see. I mean, you can't give him a title shot off that, especially not a middleweight. And I think he's going to have to fight a middleweight next. You can't miss weight by fucking 8 pounds and then expect to fight at welterweight again. Come on, Dana, if I can put your foot down, have him fight a middleweight, because it's where he belongs anyway. Like, when he makes weight, he is 170 pounds for 45 seconds. The rest of that time, he's about fucking 190. He's a fucking weight bully, is what he is. Do you know what I mean? He cuts weight so he can fucking beat the fuck out of people that are smaller than him. Like, change my mind. That is what, it's sanctioned cheating. Like, it's perfectly within the rules, but it is sanctioned cheating. Stick him in middleweight. I want to see him against people his own size. People his own size who have fucking skills. Top 10 guys at middleweight. Go. Let's see you smash everybody then. He might well do that. I want to see it. Anyway. Diaz against Ferguson main event. Woo! That was, I'd like to say it was like competitive, but honestly, outside of the leg kicks, Tony didn't really look that good. He just didn't. Tony, look, I hope that he gets another big fight, a huge payday, because he fucking deserves it. Because he's a fucking gangster. He goes out there and he puts on a goddamn show. But Nate Diaz, like, he was just better in every area, really. Like, he was better at boxing, better at grappling. We saw that. His cardio was far superior. And, I mean, it's, like, I'm going to go back to it later, because, I mean, look at this. Didn't he submit Tony Ferguson at 209 of round number 4? Because I actually had round number 4 as well, which was interesting. Because, I mean, I didn't go with the TKO in the end. I just went for round number 4. But, yeah, he got that submission at 209. Like, Nate Diaz, 209, fucking Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guy. And we're in a fucking simulation at this point, aren't we? What the fuck? Like, that's not real, is it? That was a fucking setup. Do you know what I mean? So that was a setup. Changed my mind. Either way, fucking brilliant fight. Brilliant way for them both to go out. I don't know if we'll see Ferguson again. He didn't look good, and he hasn't looked good in some time. I've always said this. But you know what? I just wish him all the best. I wish Diaz all the best when he inevitably boxes Jake Paul. Boxing Jake Paul. But yeah, so anyway, if you're watching this, thank you very much for watching. If you could please hit the bell notification and hit like, hit a comment. Let me know, did you think Li Jiangliang got robbed? Because I'd love to hear your opinion, is what I would say if I gave a fuck about what anybody thought that was a robbery or not. Fuck that. Fucking talk about something interesting. Please comment. Call me a knobhead or something. But do not comment asking me about that fucking... It wasn't a robbery. Fucks. Anyway, Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva is in the works. It's not only in the works, it has been slated for 29th of October 2022. You know, Anderson Silva's got in there first, Nate. Nate was making waves at boxing Jake Paul, but I think that, you know, Anderson Silva poses a lot of problems for Jake Paul. He's got the reach, he's got the height. He might be 47, but he doesn't look very slow. Do you know what I mean? Not compared to Jake Paul. I just think Anderson Silva is going to be too good. Anderson Silva boxed the ears off Chavez Jr. Like, Chavez Jr. is a decent boxer, like, decent enough anyway. He's decent enough to be a professional boxer, to have carved out a career in professional boxing. And, you know, Anderson Silva came out of retirement in MMA and boxed his fucking ears off. And I think that's what he's going to do to Jake Paul. I think out of all the MMA guys Jake Paul has boxed, Anderson Silva by far and away has the best chance of beating him. And that is just a fact. That is... And I'm actually interested to see this. This is a fight that... Fair play to Jake Paul for taking it. A lot of people said that he would never call out Anderson Silva because, look, he's the same size as Jake Paul as well. That's a big factor. Like, you know, Jake Paul's mostly fighting guys that are smaller than him and older than him. Anderson's older, but he ain't smaller, and he's a better boxer, most likely, but we will see. Also, side note, I love the fact that Chael and Anderson are now friends. They're both standing there talking about, "Wait, Chael, why you not come to my barbecue in 2012? That's a terrible, terrible Anderson Silva impression. But it's just, yeah, no, and Chael's son is just like, you know, doesn't know. You know, he likes his steaks medium rare or whatever. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to move on to Troll of the Week. There is only one this week, and it is the one that you've all seen. It's my favourite one, just because it is funny. But you've got those guys from Impractical Jokers, and they're just like, when they're in the back holding the microphones, they're like, hey, Kevin, why don't you high-five Hamzat? And it's just like, you got Kevin high-fiving him and getting taken down. And that is what happened. But it was funny. Dickish move, I think. Dickish at worst. Dickish move at worst. But anyways, I'm going to be breaking down some fights. Song Yudong against Corey Sandhagen is in the main event this weekend. There's a couple of other interesting fights as well. So until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.